Module 4: Challenges and Censorship of Children's Literature. Every year since 1982, an event known as Banned Books Week has brought attention to literary works frequently challenged by parents, schools, and libraries. The books in question sometimes feature scenes of offensive language. Sometimes they're opposed for religious reasons, as in the case of both Harry Potter and the Bible. But one unfortunate outcome is that 52% of the books challenged or banned in the last 10 years feature so-called diverse content. That is, they explore issues such as race, religion, gender identity, sexual orientation, mental illness, and disability. As a result, the organizers of Banned Books Week, which started Sunday, chose the theme Celebrating Diversity for 2016. Since the inception of the American children's literature industry in the 1820s, publishers have had to grapple with the question of who their primary audience should be. The history of children's book publishing in America offers insight into the ways in which traditional attitudes about appropriate stories often end up marginalizing the lives and experiences of many young readers, rather than protecting them. During the 19th and early 20th centuries, debates over the target audience of the American children's literature industry largely centered around the question of how much adults should trust children to choose what they read. Before the Civil War, the prevailing answer was very little. Accordingly, kids' books and magazines addressed the instructional concerns of adults without worrying much about readers' interest. New entertainment options, from dime novels to Nickelodeons, led to a greater effort to retaining children's attention by amusing them. Yet, even as publishers focused more on engagement, they carefully avoided subjects that riled the parents who bought the books. It's understandable that adults want to minimize children's anxiety, and schools are often under intense social and financial pressure to maintain established standards. But it's also important to recognize that this tradition was established in the 19th century to serve the needs of the white, wealthy Protestant producers and consumers who have dominated the field of American children's literature for much of the past 200 years. The distinction between books that have inspired calls for censorship, including series like Nancy Drew and The Hunger Games, versus the works that more often have actually been kept out of children's hands, Huckleberry Finn, To Kill a Mockingbird, the novels of Judy Blume, reveals the insidious effects of this tradition. This shared sensibility is grounded in respect for young readers, which doesn't mean providing them with unfettered access to everything on the library shelves. Lesson 2: Social Issues in Children and Adolescent Literature. The child within the adult. Childhood and adolescence is a time of change. Childhood and adolescence are made up of continual change, physically, emotionally, intellectually. A brief history of Issues novels. In the late 20th century, the 1960s and 70s, this sort of story changed. This is a big change on how a story is told. Didacticism. Reader is expected to absorb a clear message. There are two ways of mediating. The first, protection. The reader is shielded by limiting access to this particular great mess of the adult world. The alternative, vaccination. By giving the child small doses of awfulness, we can prepare them for when they encounter horrible things in real life. The vaccination idea works on the basis that the reader needs to do as much as the author. The reader comes up with potential solutions to the problems presented by the story. Various attitudes towards issues books. The protectionist view. Lesson 3: Political Correctness in Fables and Tales. Political correctness. PC. The avoidance of forms of expression or action that are perceived to exclude, marginalize, or insult groups of people who are socially disadvantaged or discriminated against. PC. A belief that language and actions which could be offensive to others, especially those relating to sex and race, should be avoided. PC. Language, behavior, and attitudes that are carefully chosen so that they do not offend or insult anyone, used especially when you think someone is too careful in what they say or how they behave. The Little Red Riding Hood and the Three Little Pigs. Lesson 4: Rewriting or Deconstruction of Classical Tales. Rewriting classical tales. What makes a tale so time-enduring? The passion for storytelling is written in our genetic code. Because they are so loved and popular, fairy tales will always be an invaluable source of inspiration for writers. Their great success lies in their capacity to be rewritten, transformed, and adjusted to every era and every society. This rewriting of popular tales offers many opportunities. This means that the reader will be supposed to modify his initial expectations and to alter his or her memories, adopting a new point of view. This also means that reading development is not only a continuous but also progressive process. The reader moves himself or herself constantly between former expectations and their cancellation. The reader tries to construct meaning by organizing information using his or her imagination and his or her knowledge. In other words, he or she is a continuously increasing dynamic process by means of the words in the picture of the tale. Change of perspective. Fairy tales are characterized by the use of the third person. We could also select a combination of two or more perspectives or an intermediate perspective. Change of time frame. How it would appear to children if we transfer the story of a classic fairy tale in the modern era. For example, we can create a modern Cinderella who lives in a modern society. Which problems does she face? Another alternative is a future scenario, such as this. The story of Cinderella is located in the distant future, for example, after 2,000 years. Change of relations. The relations among the heroes of a fairy tale can also be reversed. This provides the possibility for a different outcome of the story. For example, in the tale of Little Red Riding Hood, the wolf may become the good one and the little girl the bad one. Change of characteristics of heroes. The roles and characteristics of heroes may also be reversed. The three little pigs can become bad and malicious against the quiet and innocent wolf. The prince frog kisses a princess who becomes a frog too, and they live happily ever after. Change of space frame. Natural frame. By consequence, this means that we make all the necessary transformations and the corresponding changes in the heroes, the plot, and the means of action. Thus, instead of a forest, the plot can unfold on a ship traveling in the sea, on a beach, or in a big commercial shop. Cultural frame. The story can unfold itself in another culture, in the historical or metaphysical sense. This modification provides the opportunity for reporting customs and manners or stories of another culture. Socio-economic frame. The heroes may be workers or businessmen. They may belong in the middle class or in an ascending social class. With such an activity, social stereotypes and perceptions are detected. Change of genre. This constitutes the most creative piece of transcription or rewriting. With this technique, a classic story can be given in another form, such as a comic, a newspaper, a news bulletin, a theatrical play, a romance, an adventure, or even a poem. Change of illustration. In every popular fairy tale which appears in various versions all over the world, cultural elements are observed in its pictures. In modern children's books, double narration is often observed and it leads to a double story. The one that is said via pictures and the one that is said via words. Deconstructing classical tales. Deconstruction involves the close reading of text in order to demonstrate that any given text has irreconcilably contradictory meanings, rather than being a unified logical whole. Deconstruction was both created and has been profoundly influenced by the French philosopher Jacques Derrida. Derrida, who coined the term reconstruction, argues that in Western culture, people tend to think and express their thoughts in terms of binary oppositions. Module 5. Teaching children and adolescent literacy through appropriate books and strategies in literature. What is multicultural literature? Criteria for selecting multicultural literature. Reddish recommends selecting books that are well-written, high in literary quality, plot, character development, setting, theme, and style. In order to select high-quality multicultural children's literature, the following criteria can be used to guide the selection process. Lowest level of the model, the contributions approach, educators focus on the highlights, heroes, and holidays of a particular culture. At the next level, the additive approach: content, concepts, and curriculum. The third level is the transformational approach, in which the structure of the curriculum is changed to provide students with the opportunity to view concepts, issues, events, and themes from the perspectives of different cultural groups. The highest level of Banks hierarchy is the social action approach. Lesson 2. Storytelling and reading aloud. Why reading is important for young children. Choosing good books. Children need to be exposed to a wide range of stories and books. They need to see how characters in books handle the same fears, interests, and concerns that they experience. 5 criteria for selecting read-aloud books for children. Lesson 3. Types and choice of books. 3. Types and choice of books. The following criteria were created to guide the process of thoroughly evaluating the written content of a book. Lesson 4. Media and technology in children and adolescent literature. What are the differences between traditional media and new digital or social media? Traditional media such as television, radio, and periodicals have been supplemented by new digital technologies that promote interactive and social engagement and allow children and teenagers instant access to entertainment, information and knowledge, social contact, and marketing. Examples include applications or apps, multiplayer video games, YouTube videos, or video blogs or vlogs. Digital media allow information sharing across a variety of media formats, including text, photographs, video, and audio. How are media usage patterns changing in young children? As communication moves from face-to-face and voice-only phone conversations to more screen-to-screen interactions via apps such as FaceTime or Skype, daily communication is becoming intertwined with screen time. Texting using a smartphone keyboard to send a written message or a visual symbol, emoji, to another smartphone. There you have it, Ka-Edu. This concludes your journey with children and adolescent literature. Till then,